It is another Monday, which means it is time for a solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow. Welcome back. Today we are looking at the Pokemon Ekans. And this is also going to be a very interesting take for today's video because I am doing this one with live commentary. Now I know that's going to sound like a strange comment because you're watching it on YouTube. I did not live stream it. That's a weird way of maybe posing it, but I am actually doing this audio during the gameplay. I'm going to do my best to just sort of use my streaming skills and my other content skills to kind of try and see if it's possible to do these videos a little bit more streamlined. I don't know if that's really possible. I think that there's a lot of concentration that needs to go into some of these moments. Like even now, I'm thinking about the fact that I need to be giving you good conversation about how this run is going to go, but I'm also planning on taking the time to spell something out. And that's hard. Typing and talking at the same time, not very easy. But what will be easy today is the start for Ekans. I cannot say the same thing for the end of the front. And there's a couple different reasons for that. We're looking at Ekans, the snake Pokemon, a Pokemon that I nicknamed Jessie. This is the first Pokemon that we've actually given a nickname to here on the channel. And the reason for that is because of the fact that Ekans was a Pokemon that I think a lot of us were introduced to through the anime for Pokemon, the original cartoon series, where Jessie from Team Rocket had an Ekans as her main Pokemon, her starter Pokemon, however you want to look at that, because obviously through different seasons, their team got some lineup changes, right? But Ekans was just one of those Pokemon that kind of became synonymous with both Team Rocket and I think specifically one person, one party member, and kind of like a bad Pokemon overall. I do think that sometimes that was a little bit of just how Team Rocket was using their Pokemon, also using them in ways that physically, I guess, just made sense for like a TV show, but obviously not for the game. I think that Ekans, on paper, should be a pretty decent Pokemon. But if you look to the right, I think you're going to find that the reason why today is going to be a day where I try a few new things on this video is because of, I think, really a twofold thing. One, I did do a previous take on this video, and it took me a while. It took me forever. I do find that if I had just gone for the obvious answer, which is to use Mimic, which you'll see as TM31 there on the right-hand side of the screen, I've done that a lot, though. I could get through the game pretty easily at that point if I just teach Ekans Mimic. That being said, I just feel like that is a little boring at this point. I also feel like I don't want to necessarily do obviously a Team Rocket run, because if I only gave this Pokemon moves that we ever saw in the cartoon, yikes, we would for sure not be finishing the video. Ekans has honestly quite a few good moves on it, right? Like there's a lot of things that Ekans can learn that will be beneficial. The biggest thing that is going to be a hindrance to this Ekans, though, is the fact that there is no setup moves for Ekans. Oh, and that's bad. Honestly, that's really bad for a Pokemon that is very weak to the two, I would argue, the two strongest types in this generation. Like, yeah, there's a lot of water, and water typically is kind of a OP type of Pokemon, really, overall. I had to sort of think about that for a second. But I think that like water Pokemon frequently have it pretty good in most generations. I would argue that in Pokemon Yellow and Red and Blue, that, yeah, we get it pretty good for them as well here, right? But I think that the thing for Poison Pokemon is that specifically being weak to Psychic Pokemon, which are by far and large the worst thing to experience in this generation. They are just so strong. With no setup, nothing to really give us better defenses or better ways to kind of slow them down per se. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think one of the biggest things that could potentially help is the move Glare, but I don't really want to be sitting there relying on Glare and eating up one of my spots. I really want to be able to, I think, hit Pokemon as much as possible in this generation with different forms of, or types rather, of moves. So I think you're going to see a very interesting learn set for Jesse the Ekans here today. Ooh, that was so close. I'm not gonna lie. I got a little nervous that we were not gonna win that one out. Looking at the side here, you will see that we've got quite a few good moves that have some type coverage, right? That's what I meant by having some good moves, but also at the same time, again, some actually good moves. Earthquake is pretty great, but when you consider the fact that Dig has the same amount of damage and I get to avoid an attack for a little bit, I don't know. I think that Dig might actually still kind of win out over Earthquake. When they eventually change the power of the move Dig, yeah, perhaps that move won't be quite as good or as useful in the long run for Ekans, but for today's purposes, I actually think we're going to stick with Dig. I know it's a move we've seen quite a lot here on the channel. We've not yet had an opportunity to see Earthquake, but I also think that considering our special and everything like that is not great, and we want to avoid as many hits as possible, I think that using a move like Dig does mean that we can get in some damage and we'll skip out on some moves that could potentially hit us pretty hard. It's almost going to be like a setup in a way. It's more of just sort of scoping out some situations, really. Because obviously, if they do get to hit us, they'll hit us anyway. It won't make a difference whether we're underground or if we just hit them on the first turn, right? All right, and then I'm going to stop talking for just a second so I can get out of this forest because I desperately need to go heal, but just, okay, it's going to take me forever. So give me a second. I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have healed up, I want to go back to finally finishing out the conversation about the moves as we move on to the rival, the optional rival here. I don't necessarily think I need to fight him, I'll be honest, but I think it'll help just to get through Brock, probably, if nothing else. So we will continue to make it through him. There aren't a lot of great moves for poison Pokemon in this generation. And so that's why the poison typing is pretty rough, and it also is kind of what makes Team Rocket a little bit of a joke. Going into the gym here, I do think I could potentially be a little underleveled. But honestly, with a move like Wrap, and the fact that they have no ground or rock type moves to use against me, yeah, I mean, 12 minutes in, it's obviously not a record. We're not breaking any records with this Pokemon today. That is for sure. I can guarantee you that this will probably be one of actually the worst runs of all time. And that is because we've sort of teased it a little bit throughout. I've mentioned it briefly, but I don't plan on using... Oh, I did not heal. I did not replenish my... Ooh, okay. Yep, you know what? We're gonna have to do some we're gonna have to black out here. That's on me. That's just a misplay. I have not saved once, so I definitely cannot do a reset. I am just gonna have to accept that that's a blackout and go from here. As you can see, I just erased a previous game file, and in it I did two sort of different things. I did a quick little mimic run where I just sort of saw what would happen if I made it to the end using Mimic. And yeah, obviously because we've seen this move be used in previous runs, we know, right? Like, we know that we can do that. We know that Mimic will carry us through to the end. That's not the issue. That's not the problem. Oh man, that miss was bad. The thing that we need to consider here, oh god, that tackle hit me for so much. So, ooh, and that's not doing a lot of damage either. This is so rough. Okay. The thing for Ekans here is that, yeah, I could do the whole thing of running through Mimic, getting through with, I don't want to say no issues, because there are issues, right? But we can make it through quicker. And I think that just becomes boring. And I think that when we looked at the Weedle, oh my god, I actually beat Brock. I really thought it was going to be Blackout training. Wow. Okay, Ekans level 14, not bad. I think that with Weedle, right? When we took a look at Weedle, there was obviously some cool things that we were able to do there because of the fact that we have some glitches in Gen 1 that we can take advantage of, and we could break our rules and say, let's just use items in order to use that glitch to our benefit, and then beat the game with Weedle. Pretty hard. It was very bad. It was not a good time. But, like, it was also fun, right? Like, when I say that it was not good or that it was a bad time or whatever, I just mean that it took me forever. It took me so long. It was a huge effort. And putting all that footage together was also, honestly, a lot of wrangling of data and figuring out what I was really doing with that run and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it was good. Like, I've actually watched that video back since I've published it and just sort of was kind of, if I may, I was impressed by myself and by the ability to just say, hey, instead of doing the same rules every time, maybe change it up a little bit here and there to see what you can get going. And that's what we're going to attempt with Ekans here. Because while I could do Mimic, I don't want to overplay it. I don't want to overdo it. I think that Mimic is better when served either as okay, we are officially speedrunning this Pokemon, so let's use a move like Mimic so that we can just get through it. Or if I think it's like, I don't think that they can beat the game without it. I think Pidgey and Spearow, great examples of they are not beating this game if they do not have Mimic. That is, I think, kind of a guarantee. Maybe like level 100, they could potentially get some stuff going on. But yeah, I really think they need that help. I think they need that extra move. I think they need the extra power that they can really only get from borrowing it from someone else. With a Pokemon like Ekans, considering it's not strong, yeah, maybe you could make the argument that Mimic is a better move for Ekans to do. But at that point, are all pre-evolution Pokemon just going to be Mimic runs? Are we just going to give Mimic to everything that is a under-evolved, under-leveled thing? No. Well, probably over-leveled, actually. But listen, that's more of a semantics thing. I think that we could beat the game with Ekans, for sure, without the use of Mimic. And still using the other rules that I have sort of given myself in previous runs. I think if we don't use any kind of items in battle, but I think that you could take Ekans with a regular learn set, just give it some random moves that give it some type coverage, and then probably just level it up like crazy so that it could potentially survive things like Earthquake or Psychic, and then just say, what are the chances of beating this game with a Pokemon like Ekans not using a gimmick? To some extent, maybe this then makes it a gimmick to say I'm avoiding a gimmick, but I think that this is the more interesting route. Is it going to be the fastest route? Is it going to be the most streamlined route? Oh, God, no. Absolutely not. I think that you could probably tell by the fact that it is nearly 20 minutes in and I've only just begun Mount Moon. Yeah, I think it's going to be a minute. I think it's going to be a minute before we really get any kind of progress in for Ekans. I don't think that the early game is particularly strong for this Pokemon, and I don't think that the late game, for sure, is an awful, awful, awful time for Ekans. Oh, well, if it isn't Team Rocket. Of course, the people I was just sort of talking trash about, really. Well, I think it's going to be a little bit of a taste of their own medicine type situation. Ekans is going to come in here. It's going to use Wrap on the Ekans. We're going to bite and flinch, Meowth. We're going to bite, no flinch, Coughing. And just bite, and we're done. I think that the rival is not really going to be an easy fight, but I think it's going to be more manageable than Misty, because Misty, honestly, Bubble Beam, I've said it in a recent video, Bubble Beam honestly is so overly powerful in the beginning of the game. Bubble Beam can run through most Pokemon. No matter how good their defense is or how good their special defense is, Bubble Beam hit hard. Bubble Beam do a lot, you know? And luckily we are still running a wrap move at this point for our Ekans. Eventually we will have to move on from that just because it is very weak. Yeah, they don't get to attack, but it does mean we have to go through the animation of someone confirming that once again, yeah, this person can't attack, this person can't attack, this person can't attack. Okay. Let's just get it on. Let's just get on with it. I could have used Poison Sting. What am I thinking? That was Bite. Okay. Okay, we are 36 minutes in and we're just getting here. That is not ideal. One-shotting on Dig is definitely ideal. Oh, that critical hit is so bad. Oh, another critical hit. Wow, okay. The critical hits could have really done us in. If we did not one-shot Staryu in the beginning there, yeah, Ekans is not, well, he's not walking out of anything, but Ekans is not slithering out of there with a badge if we get hit even once against that Staryu. Luckily, they do not hit, and because of that, we get to eke out a win. Okay, so this is me in the post section of the video making process, where I realized that there was a small flaw in how I recorded this, which is that I yap a lot because, again, I'm a streamer, so I'm ready and able to just talk the whole time, which means there's a lot of sections where I go, should I leave this in? The stuff that I'm doing isn't necessarily relevant to the main gameplay, but I'm talking about some interesting things. So I figured that one of the best sections might be here in SS Anne, because I did technically start to talk about it in the original audio, and then I got distracted by something that happened in a fight and never finished the conversation. So we're going to actually get to that conversation point in just a moment. I'm actually still going to allow myself to get distracted just for a brief second, just because of the fact that I can also still hear the SS Anne music now while I record this. So this is the sort of thing that kind of would typically distract me, right? But I love the SS Anne music. As far as overworld music goes, I think it's one of the top 5 in this generation. I can't explain why, just the vibe is just so perfect in my opinion. I love it. There's other ones I love, like Pallet Town, Route 1. Anything like that from like the Indigo Plateau also really hits. But if you have a favorite track from really any of the Pokemon generations, I won't be picky. Drop one of your favorite tracks in the comments below. Would love to know which songs stick with people, and maybe even why, because I love that stuff. Okay, getting into something that I mentioned briefly at the beginning of the video and sort of teased and said, it'll come up later, and then it does, but it doesn't. I never really fully got into it, so let's actually get into it, because I'm always trying to make sure that I'm consciously telling you all of the major elements of this game in every video, which if you watch every video, and if you do, thank you, you hear it a lot. I get that. But if it's your first time here, you might not know how this works, and that is the badge boost glitch. It's something that will happen not so much for Ekans, just because Ekans doesn't have any moves that give any sort of setup, which is a real bummer because of the type coverage that we have. It actually would be great if we had something. I also don't know what you would really give Ekans. Maybe harden, just because snakes can shed their skin, so maybe you could harden that skin to kind of give it like a defensive benefit. But at the end of the day, I totally respect that Ekans does not have one, so it's not going to come up a lot. It's mostly going to happen when they try to lower one of my stats. You'll see some of the numbers on the left-hand side of the screen change. It is especially the ones that obviously have a little badge next to them. So at this time, the only one that could be affected is my attack. And as I get more badges, like when I finally go get the one from Surge, and then when I finally go get the one from Koga, etc., these stats will get little boosts added on. And then if a different type of move, any kind of stat modification move is used against me or by me, then my stuff will be re-rolled. Basically, it is recalculated from its out of battle, like stat, effectively, and then reapplied on top of what it sees now. So every time I do this, it's adding an extra 1/8, basically. It is, I believe 1/8 is 1.125 effectively, something along those lines. I'm not a big math person, I'm going to be honest. That's one of the main reasons why I don't do some of the speed runs, like legitimately, because I don't know some of the strats, because I feel like I need to know math to get to that point. But effectively, the whole point here, though, is that when you have some of these moves, when someone tries to do something like lower my speed, perhaps, because they use something like, let's say, string shot, you would see my speed drop, but then you would see my attack go up. So there's going to be times where that's going to be beneficial, but also, again, still a hindrance. There's going to be a lot of times where I'm going to get hit by something like Tail Whip, and it's going to be kind of great for us, but also it's going to make Ekans a real glass cannon, because it's going to mean that the second I got hit by anything, done. But I should then hit way harder myself. So it is a little bit of an even Stevens type situation, and by being somewhat over-leveled, usually I will still outspeed most things. So it's going to be something that you see come up here and there. It's not going to be constant, but if I at any point mention something along the lines of not wanting to level up mid-fight or anything like that, that is the reason why I bring that up, is because if I level up, it resets all of those boosts. So even if I got a boost from someone lowering my defense, let's say, my defense stays down if I level up, but all of my now upped attack would then drop back down to where it should be. So you don't want to level up mid-fight if your stats are changed. So all that sort of stuff is going to come up frequently throughout this video. Not as much with Ekans, but as I said, I always want to explain these things to all of you, just because the way that glitches and basically things that were unintentional, especially in these early games, and then the way that people can kind of use them to their advantage to make things happen, that's the main reason why we got Weedle to work. I know I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, right? We used items, which we typically don't do with these runs, but I've realized that using the items and this glitch could make Weedle a viable Pokemon. I think that just makes these things so much more interesting. And I hope that you agree, because I really love doing these, and I think it's cool that Pokemon like Ekans or Weedle or Abra can actually get in there and play the game, you know? Now, that being said, I have finally finished my little message, my little spiel. I've also done my little call to action about, hey, give me those Pokemon music recommendations. And I do mean that, by the way, because I am definitely a big music guy. So genuinely, please drop those. I would love to hear your takes. At this point in the game, we are almost at the rival fight, so I think I'm just going to do a cheeky little cut right here and take us there right now. Rival on SSN time. Okay, so we didn't have any kind of heals for our PP, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. We went up against a Spearow, which we used last week. It's not very good. Rattata and Sandshrew also go down to one hit. Eevee does kind of hold on, but we of course defeat it as well. And so we are going to go pick up Cut and make our way to one of the worst trainers in the entire game, Lieutenant Surge. Alright, listen, I'll make a small admission here, which is that sometimes you have moments exactly like this, where I honestly sat there for a brief moment, just sort of perplexed. I couldn't believe that he just got instantly a critical hit. I was sitting here thinking that Ekans was fairly safe, that Dig would go off without a hitch and we'd be done. But, you know, every now and then Surge can really hit you pretty hard, and then you got moments like that. So yeah, Surge is pretty bad. But I will say I've been giving him maybe slightly unfair treatment. It's not unwarranted, but like maybe I could back off just a little bit, because I have got a few comments of people being like, hey man, why do you hate Surge so much? I don't hate Surge. He's just not as good in yellow as he was in the previous games. That's it. We are not going to skip all the way to Celadon City. We've got a few things to take care of here. We are going to skip over Rock Tunnel just because there wasn't any major challenges. There were a couple Slowpokes with confusion, but not that bad. The self-destructing hiker went down to dig quickly. So here we are on the roof of the Celadon Market, the mall, the large mart, if you will. And we have bought one of every drink. We've bought a couple of the fresh water so that we can give it to get into Saffron as well, and also use them as healing items. But if you give each of the different types of drinks to that little child, they will give you 3 different TMs. Ice Beam, Tri-Attack, and the one that we will be keeping and not selling and keeping for our move pool today for almost most of the game is Rock Slide. That's going to come in very handy later, but for now, we're going to run with what we've got. We are now going to go to the game corner, and we are going to take on pretty much everyone here as well. Okay, then we end this whole little section by going up against our namesake of Jesse within the trio. We knock out the coughing, we knock out the Meowth, and then of course we knock out ourselves, or just a mirror that we hold up to ourselves. I guess the kind of thing that we do in society. Was that deep? I really don't know. I was kind of just going for something there. Don't really know what it was, but I just kind of, I guess, chucked some spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And then we move on to Giovanni, and we are going to be able to kind of roll him too. Dig is super helpful in the mid section of the game. It's going to be helpful in part of the Elite Four as well, but during the mid to late game, Dig is something that really takes us for forever. And speaking of forever, I actively spent about a minute thinking about whether or not I was going to take acid or not. Not in that way, I mean like in my move pool. I really had to consider it because it would give us stab, but it's such a weak move, and it's honestly not really effective against most people. This Tangela would be the only one that we'd really ever be able to use it against, because that's the only, or rather one of the only pure grass types that you can come across within this game. And so it's just sort of useless. It doesn't really make any sense. So we end up just destroying this team, mostly just because of our leveling. We weren't necessarily all that effective, but it gets the job done, and that's kind of all that matters. So we get to move on from Celadon, go up to the rival at the Pokemon Tower. Now, the team for him is starting to get to be a little bit more formidable, so we kind of struggle to take some of them out, even at only level 23. And that is kind of a crazy thing, I think, to see in action. But I also guess that Body Slam, again, there's no stab, whatever, you know, it's not going great. And since I'm here and we have finally defeated him, I will say, in case I didn't say it earlier, stab does mean same type attack bonus. So we don't do that there with any of those moves. We then finally get the Poke Flute from Mr. Fuji. We go on and we fight the Snorlax. I was initially going to try and capture it and maybe have that be my strength Pokemon, but I did knock it out, so I just move on. We go down the bicycling path or bicycling road, and then we move on to Koga's Gym. This one is a doozy, and so will Sabrina's Gym, but let me discuss specifically why this one is so bad. A lot of it is just, again, I don't have a lot of things at my disposal. I mean, obviously I've got a lot of moves, I guess, at this point, but one of the biggest problems is that I'm still a little squishy. I guess I'll be kind of squishy for most of the game, at least a psychic Pokemon. But there was a great comment that someone had dropped in earlier, It's a Small World, had said in a previous video about Koga's Gym and the trainers that are there, is that, yeah, there's a couple poison Pokemon in there with like Arbok and everything like that. And maybe the Hypnos and or the Drowsies might know Poison Gas, but that does not make them poison Pokemon. Really, the strong majority of the Pokemon that you come across within this gym are all Pokemon that his Pokemon are weak to. So it's a little bit of keep your friends close but your enemies closer sort of deal. And so if you can defeat them, you probably should be able to defeat this bug type gym leader, because that is for sure what he is. And we go up against this bug gym leader with a level 47 Ekans, which I do sit there and I kind of contemplate for a little bit before I actually get into the real decision making. I realize kind of last second that, yeah, I don't really have the level or the move set that I think is the best for this fight. Dig will be good against the poison type, but it's not really great against bug, and it's not really helping me at all. I am underleveled compared to his ace, but I do try it a couple of times just to sort of see what the possibilities would be of either getting the crit, although again, my crit rate is not great at 10.5%. So I kind of just sort of test the playing field here a little bit, but it's definitely not enough. I did decide to learn Rock Slide, which is for sure the correct move to make, or to learn, haha. But really, at the end of the day, it's the level. The level is not going to be enough. I'm not hitting for quite enough damage. I keep getting close, you know? But even the level 44 is living through my first move, a move that is getting extra help from getting the type effectiveness, you know? So I think really what is going to be very clear in a second here is that Psychic and Psy Beam, or Psy Wave rather, or even Leech Life is pretty bad for Jesse. So we're going to have to get out of this gym. We're going to have to do just a tiny bit more leveling, right? We're just going to have to finish up this level. We're going to go out to the routes and we're going to fight a couple wild Pokemon and a couple bird trainers. Honestly, that's great. A great mix because of Rock Slide. And then we level up, then we use a couple rare candies, and then we come back to Koga. And I think that that is the correct move. We just have to get to his ace's level. And it's the third Venonat is the first one that does not go down to one hit. So that's great. We're then getting hit by Leech Life. I do know that because it's super effective, that might have been a good move. But at the end of the day, Psychic would have probably killed me. So he does make a misplay, and it gives me the win. And I think that is the best thing that you could kind of ask for, is the RNG to be good to you. Now we're going to make a crazy play here, which is we are going to skip so much story. We're going to skip so much of everything else. I dipped my toes into Silph Co just a little bit, but I realized very quickly that I think the better thing for me to do is to just go ahead and get the special boost. So we are going to skip basically 2/3 of Silph Co, and we're going to fly back home, then surf down, and we're going to go up against Blaine. And it's looking honestly pretty good. The reflects are bad. The reflects are hitting us too much because we're not hitting too much because of it. And Fire Blast does take us out, but I do think it's doable. So we are going to return to this fight. I think that Blaine is definitely achievable. I think that we just have to make sure that we're getting in there very quickly. Oh man. I know I feel like it happens every video. There is a moment where someone gets a flamethrower off and it just hits for devastating damage. Flamethrower is one of my favorite moves of all time, and it might be because it has moments like this, especially in Gen 1. I just feel like sometimes it does way more than it should. But either way, we take out finally Ninetales and Rapidash, but unfortunately, yet again, Flamethrower is too much. Okay, that is not ideal. So we're going to use a couple more rare candies. I feel like if we go up just a little bit, if we go up just 2 levels, I think that maybe we can either one-shot both of the Pokemon before Arcanine, or perhaps we can at least do a little bit more damage whenever we are going up against him. Plus, we can take a little bit more damage. That's always probably a better fit, right? But we have to be careful about keeping some of those rare candies for later fights, specifically Giovanni and a couple of the people in the Elite Four. And with that, we make it through. Those rare candies were the correct move. We now move over to Silph Co, and it's time to go up against the rival Fivel. Here he is with his almost fully built out team. He has, for some weird reason, not gone to the Safari Zone yet to get his 6th and final member, but it's okay. We're doing okay against a 5-stack even at this point. Nothing too devastating on this team, with the exception of perhaps anything like Psybeam or Confusion and obviously Pin Missile from Jolteon. The Pin Missile is pretty rough. That's one of those things where, you know, if I really wanted to do myself better in terms of what I was going up against, I probably could have purposefully lost the second fight so that he had the Flareon team. Magneton wouldn't be super effective against me here, and neither is Cloyster, so, you know, I guess I didn't have to be too afraid of that, but it doesn't matter. Jolteon, I think, is still a little bit of a challenge, and that's kind of what we're looking for at the end of the day anyway. What is not a challenge is the trio, and honestly, they should be ashamed of themselves and realize that they lost to one of their own Pokemon and pre-evolved. So that is the kind of move that I think deserves retirement and never showing up in the game ever again. Okay, that was a little bit of a mouthful. I'm talking a little too fast maybe, but let's go back to some of the live commentary because I've got some good thoughts here. And Giovanni, hold please. Yeah, dig clears. Okay, wow. Listen, I know the time on this run isn't really great or ideal, but I'm going to be honest with you. I am honestly shocked at how well this Ekans is doing. I actually think that we've made some really great choices in this run. And even if it's a little slow, I'm sure there's people who have done it faster. I said it in this video already, but I'll say it as always. I'm not a speedrunner. I'm not attempting to speedrun. I'm not necessarily going to even try and necessarily beat anyone else's times. I will probably at some point try and beat my own times. Sure, for sure, yeah. Like, you should always be going for your personal best, you know? But I actually think that this Ekans could kind of clear. I kind of feel like if I put this Ekans into the arena against some of the other Pokemon that I've run so far on this challenge, it's possible that this Ekans kind of wins out. Although if someone else hits a dig on it, then yeah, for sure, it's a goner. Jesse's not that strong. Okay, there we go. That's all of our HMs learned. Strength, Fly, Surf, Cut, Dig. For sure, the 5th HM. We're not skipping out on Flash entirely. Don't worry about it. I am going to heal. Let's heal. Let's get some heals. Again, we're not speedrunning. We don't need to really necessarily worry about losing time on the healing process. I also think that if this goes well enough, maybe from now on, maybe we just do all footage almost as if I'm just recording a regular Let's Play. That one's tough. I don't know if that's going to be possible just because this actually has made the editing process a lot more difficult. Just because sometimes I talk too much. I'm really used to being able to yap nonstop on a stream, and so it gets very difficult to find where I should actually cut versus the actually important story points. And yeah, let's go, girl. Sabrina always seemed so intense because of the TV show. And I actually think that this is another example of when they gave her a team that was a little bit closer to her team in the anime. They really nerfed her. I mean, look at that. That was a snake that just used Body Slam 3 times against Psychic Pokemon. Some of the strongest Pokemon of this generation. And effectively just sort of backyard wrestlinged its way through. That's insane to me. Now, this fight is going to be maybe one of the hardest fights in the entire game for Ekans. Either the second or maybe the third hardest one. At the end of the day, this one's going to mostly come down to RNG and luck. Okay, good. First one, done. Oh, that slash critical hit was... Oh, that was bad. That was really bad. We are so lucky that in Gen 1, Earthquake does not hit while you're underground. Oh, but that was... yeah, that's going to kill us. Okay, okay. I almost think... Okay, I know I said just one level of reconnaissance. Maybe we get in there. Maybe we get in there and we just try one more time. I think if we do not get Okay, that's fine. I'll take that. Yes. Okay, so far this is so much better because we have not taken any damage. Maybe he guard specs. Oh, bad. Oh, bad. Okay, maybe he guard specs. Oh, or I just one shot. Maybe he guard specs. Oh my God. Oh, he did it. Oh, he's such an idiot. Oh my God, he's such an idiot. Yes. Yes, Giovanni. You lost to a level 64 Ekans, dude. Oh my God, I'm so good at this game. Oh, man. Oh, I know that there's definitely probably people who have either been on a lower level and again, also faster, but like, it makes me feel so good, man. That even after all these years where I've just been playing it regularly, I never did, at least in Gen 1, I never really tried to do any kind of Nuzlocke run. I got into Nuzlocke runs like at least 3 or 4 generations after this. I think the first time I ever did a Nuzlocke back in Gen 3 would have been back in 2020, actually. I went back finally to attempt a Nuzlocke in a game that I obviously had a lot of good experience with. I really love the first 3 gens, especially. Like, they have such a beautiful little spot in my heart. And so I've never done any kind of challenges like this until really now, especially not solo challenges. And I'm having a blast. It's so fun. This is such a great little experiment. Okay. If he had Earth... Oh my God, what? Huh? Is he like sashed somehow? There's no held items, so how in the world... Okay. That was crazy work. Okay, let's just body slam. Oh, thank goodness we did that. Okay, we dig... Okay, you get quick attack off. We get dig in. We do rock slide. Yes. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad too. Okay. 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 We go again. We go again. Not. Okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't awful. I'm curious. Okay, he did get 1 attack in there, but it wasn't that bad. Maybe I was right. Perhaps. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's actually really bad. Oh, that's actually really bad. Okay, he did not get that off. Oh, no. Oh, our speed is so bad. Oh, the speed drop is awful. Lose life force. Oh, boo. Don't use my own type of move against me. How dare you? Okay. His speed went up greatly, but we're fine. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Brilliant. You'll love to see that. Great job, Ekans. Okay, we had a couple resets. Yes. But I'll take those. I'll take those any day of the week. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. We are at level 74. Gonna get a few of these full restores. I don't know why I'm buying more than there are trainers, because I'm obviously not gonna need them. I can only use them outside of battle. But we are now 74, 187 HP, 171 attack, 141 defense, 137 special is pretty bad. 162 speed, though, pretty decent. I think we outspeed almost everything. The Aerodactyl might be trouble. But let's go up against Lorelei. I think... Oh my God. Oh, but it used rest. Okay, it could not have known that I was going to do that. But that's fine. I think, actually... Okay, she's going to use all of her super potions here. And that was actually fine. I think that was actually clutch. I think we do Rock Slide here and clean up against Cloyster. I think, oh, okay, this is where we got to be really careful. I think we desperately need to get through him as fast as possible. Yeah. Slowbro was, I think, one of the biggest potentials to be in danger. Lapras will also hit us pretty heavy. But I think now, although Wrap is really rough for... Okay, she's got even more super potions than I thought she did. And that's kind of bad. But I actually think that Wrap, once again, clutches out. Wow. I actually can't believe this. I truly did not expect to be using Wrap at level 74. But it's actually kind of doing some work here. I think I only have one, maybe two elixirs, so I have to be very careful with my usage of really of everything. Okay, we get... Oh, come on. Luckily, I also have dig, so I can avoid its dig. I didn't really want to have to use one of my usages up, because I want to make sure that we definitely have enough for... Oh, God. Okay. We definitely have enough for Agatha. So, okay. Okay, that was enough. Good. I think we do... Well, certainly not Rock Slide. I think maybe we just do Body Slam. Okay. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, I think we just dig. Oh, no. Okay, Body Slam. Yep, that's it. That's the one. Considering the ground type moves would have been brutal for me, yeah, that could have gone way worse. Okay, Agatha is next. We are fully healed up. We are level 75, which means I think we're going to end this whole thing at level 67 or 67. I think I just said 67 twice. 60. Oh my God. 76 or 77. Wow. Harder to say than I thought it was. So dig is going to be kind of our only strat for this one. Rock Slide obviously is going to be great for Golbat. Everyone else is going to be a dig for sure. In fact, you know what? I am just going to turbo through all of these digs. Yeah, I can just click and hold and boom. Easy peasy. Dig is a great move, especially against her Pokemon. We are golden. I'm feeling pretty great about this. I didn't lose any HP, and I don't really think I need to re-up on my PP, so I'm just going to go for it against Lance. I've already saved the game. Now, the question is Gyarados. I think Rock Slide. Okay, and I miss. 2 Dragon Rages is unfortunate. I think I just Rock Slide again. No, bad. Okay. Maybe Body Slam. Okay, great. Maybe Body Slam here. Hyper Beam is unfortunate. I do think you still outspeed me, so this is bad territory. Oh, that's so rough. Wait. Critical hit? Oh my... I'm pumping my fist in the air. This is kind of one of the only reasons why I kind of wish I did do webcam for these. Oh my God. Okay. This is the moment. Jesse, you have to clutch. Okay. Okay. Jesse, I do not blame you for that. I do not blame you for that. That was more about the... Well, I guess technically I have to blame you because you missed in the beginning. It's okay. Jesse, you're going to make it. You're going to be fine. Jesse, I don't think you need any kind of extra help. I mean, at this point, you kind of don't get any. So I think we Body Slam first time. Okay, Leer actually maybe is good. Ooh, the Hyper Potion's bad. Oh, that's actually really rough. Okay. I think maybe we dig against Dragonair. The slam is not great. Yeah, that's bad. Okay. Okay. See, the Leer did give us extra attack power, but so many of his moves are physical. So that was a bad combo. I think I'm so confident that we can make it through on this. Okay, it's paralyzed. Oh, okay, he's using that. Does it still recharges? I think yes. Good. I think we do body slam once. The thunder wave is atrocious, actually. Because now we definitely don't outspeed any of his mons now. Yeah, I think this is going to be a wash. Because Aerodactyl's going to attack next, and yeah, that's going to be it. Okay. Okay. Let's think about what we can do to fix this. I don't think there's much. I think it's just, this is going to be the section of the game, I think, where we need the best possible RNG. Because again, it is an Ekans. Okay, I will take that. 40 damage at this point is not bad. Oh, the paralyze is awful, though. That's such a bad thing for me. He also has wrap, which is so atrocious. Okay. Yeah, that's a reset. But the thing is, like, I don't even think there's really any moves that we have that would fix this section. You know what I mean? Of rare candy. Is simply because of him having Leer. Paralyzed. Damn. No, not for me, for him. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, it's not. Okay. Oh, this is so bad. I was just going, oh, I'm so good at this game. And now here we are. 19 resets in. I mean, the Gyarados is an absolute monster. Lance, okay. That's illegal. That's fine. I'll take that. Good. Yes. Okay, free move there. Body slam. He's his bubble beam. Okay. We have to be so careful here. All right. No. Okay, wait. Second life. Oh my God. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, listen. We both missed on that first hit, but the fact that he missed Thunder twice, this is one of the best moments for the low accuracy moves to come into fruition. Wow. Okay. We are back on top, and we are at level 76 going in against the champ. I think that this is doable. I think that weirdly with a non-gimmick attempt here. Oh, that earthquake is going to hit so bad. Oh my God. The critical hit there is really bad. Okay, it's going to sound crazy to say this 53 minutes into a video, but we just skipped a bunch of resets for the sake of time, and we're still going to see a bunch of them. Spoiler. But basically, Sandslash is a real problem. Sandslash is a real thorn in my side in this game. Really, the Rivals team overall is a monster. I mean, no matter what Pokemon you have, I would argue that pretty much anything has some form of weakness because he's very type effective. He's got a lot of coverage on his team, and the AI typically knows how to use it. That's the other scary part of it, right? Giovanni is fairly terrifying, but sometimes he just randomly does guard spec when he really doesn't need to, and it gives you the sort of extra win ratio maybe that maybe you don't really deserve. But here, going up against the champion, oh man, it is rough out here. It is constant critical hit after critical hit after critical hit from the Sandslash. It is, you know, if you're something that is like, I mean, honestly, still a poison Pokemon, something that's weak to Alakazam, it's going to be Psychic or Psybeam that just takes you down instantly. It's going to be Exeggutor, maybe not being super effective, but hitting you with Hypnosis 8 times in a row kind of thing. Like, he just has coverage and moves that are obnoxious and annoying and somehow seemingly always hit. It feels like he rarely misses me with anything. So it's just a very difficult situation to be in. But when it comes to Ekans, what you need to do is you have to Mega Drain and just hope that somehow there's no crit against you from the Sandslash. Then you have to make sure that you definitely outspeed and one-tap the Alakazam. Honestly, it's always just a battle of, who can hit the most with Exeggutor. Then Cloyster, you gotta take it out. You gotta heal a little bit there. Ninetales, you have an opportunity to really do some damage with Dig. And then you go against Jolteon, you have to dig, and guess what? With Ekans at level 77, you can in fact beat Yellow without using a gimmick, without setup moves, without anything special. Yeah, that time is not amazing. I'm sure if we used Mimic, we would be through this in, let's say, 30 minutes faster. We would have way less resets. But my god, Ekans, the amount of times that this Pokemon took me by surprise was staggering. I truly expected more time on that clock, if I'm honest. So I feel very good about this run, and I'm looking forward to doing more things and adding on even extra challenges to myself and to these runs. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for sticking it through, just like Ekans did, and thank you for being here and maybe dropping a like, maybe sharing the video, maybe giving a subscribe if you want to see more of these great little challenge videos. It really means a lot to small creators like me when you do stuff like that. It helps the algorithm, it helps get us out there, and it makes a big difference in our lives. So thank you so much, and I will see you all next week for another solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow.